Sorry.
We can look at that. Okay, I'll call the meeting to order and begin with the land acknowledgement. On Tuesday, May the 12th, 2026, we acknowledge that this sacred land on which Smith Falls is now located has been a site of human activity for over 10,000 years and is rich in Indigenous history. This land is the ancestral and unceded territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe Nation. We are grateful to the Algonquin ancestors who cared for the land and water in order that we might meet here today. We are also grateful to the Algonquin people for their contribution in the making of the Rideau Canal, which runs through Smith Falls. We are mindful of broken covenants and the need to reconcile with all our relations. Together, may we care for this land and each other, drawing on the strength of our mutual history of nation building through peace and friendship, being mindful of generations to come. Okay, first of all, approval of the agenda. We have an addition to the agenda, 5.3, a heritage alteration permit for the Abel Russell Ward House. So if you could add that in. Then if someone would move that we adopt the agenda, please. Jonathan moves, Class seconds. All in favor? Thank you. And the minutes from Tuesday, April the 14th. Someone moves that we adopt the minutes. Dawn moves and Jenny seconds. All in favor? Thank you. Disclosure of monetary interest, anyone? Okay, we'll go ahead with the priority issues. First of all, we have a report on the old water tower update. Carl?
Thanks, Dorothy. I'll just bring a quick update to the committee here. So I think as the committee is aware, we've opened a new water tower that is now in operation in the off of Air Care Drive, and the current water for the old water tower that exists downtown is no longer functional, or I guess operationally needed. So the Public Works Department brought a recommendation to council to, I guess, begin that conversation about potential demolition or other alternatives. So council had asked for a little bit of some costing and some more information to sort of assess the broader options about what a restoration and ongoing maintenance could be as a potential alternative to demolition. So the water tower, along with its neighboring parkland, are all identified as contributing resources within our new Heritage Conservation District. So the district, as you know, is not formally in effect based on the appeal that we're working through, but the principle has been established through the HCD. So what that means is, and the HCD has some, it's in the report, some criteria that need to be considered, that the council needs to be satisfied with before a demolition can be considered and approved under the Heritage Conservation District plan. So part of that process would, of course, involve the Municipal Heritage Committee would have a role in providing advice to council as well. So in the coming weeks, our expectation is the Public Works Department would bring forward a further report to council with an estimate on the cost and structural analysis of costs to retain the water tower structure. So depending on how that conversation and council direction proceeds, in the next I'm presenting this because MHC will be invited in the coming months to formalize a position to council as it relates to the water tower. So that can form a resolution or a motion from the committee that gets conveyed to council, and certainly staff can provide whatever context or assistance the committee would look for in order to sort of inform your role. So I'll just I'll leave it there, but just a reminder that this will be coming up. This will be coming up to the committee in the coming months.
Okay, thank you, Carl. So would people like to start a discussion on this subject? Okay, you can go first, class.
Carl, does the town council consider that to be a heritage site?
Madam Chair, through you, Madam Chair, the site is, the water tower is identified as a landmark within the Heritage Conservation District Plan. The property is identified as a contributing property within the district. So councils, at the end of the day, councils, all paths would lead through council to make a decision on that municipal asset, on that municipal property. But yes, the Heritage Conservation District does identify the water tower.
Second question.
Mm-hmm.
What, has the town budgeted a maintenance cost on that tower?
I think the best department to answer that would be the Public Works Department, but at this point we don't know what that would be yet moving forward. So that's one of the things that we can, or that the Public Works Department and their research can determine if we were to keep the tower, how much it would cost to maintain it and how long that would last. But at this point, I don't believe that we have that information.
Chris could probably surmise a little bit better than I can. I just, the thing I was going to add is that, like, what was presented to council is going to be like 350K to demo, 375K to demo. And then the idea is that it's probably going to be more than that, or at least equal, to get it into a place that we can use. But we don't know that, and they're going to come back and let us know that. They're going to let council know that in June, early June-ish.
Yeah, in the report it says likely by June the 9th.
But those are sort of the numbers,
yes.
roughly, that you're looking at.
Are we to come up with a recommendation what to do with the tower? Is that the?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah.
So,
Doesn't have to be today, I don't think. No, yes?
Yeah, so the way council, it was really surprising to have the report come to council the way it did from Public Works, because it just came out of the blue. You've got this contributing property on a Heritage Conservation District that's about to be approved and finalized into to be signed off on, and then they're trying to get rid of this just before the wire before. So luckily council said, no, we're going to delay it. We're going to push it back. So right now Public Works is looking at more information. The bare minimum, and council gave direction on this in the past, and I can't find the minutes with the new website of how it was documented. But there was $60,000 in a previous budget that we deferred because the project was delayed. And then that $60,000 for a structural assessment of the tower never got back into the budget.
That's right.
And there was never, from my experience or my understanding, council direction to take it out on the direction of not doing it and demolishing it. It was just taking it out on the direction of the project's delayed, we'll put it back in next year. So if anybody could find those minutes, that would be helpful to just get that record down. But I think as an MHC, what we need to advocate for now is to have that structural assessment, because there's a chance that the engineers look at it and they say the rivets are corroded. You know, it's past the point of no return. And like the Confederation Bridge, it's got a lot of the same design features that the Confederation Bridge had that made it unfixable. And if the deterioration has reached the point similar to the Confederation Bridge, we can't paint it or we can't keep it up, then it's moot. But I think the structure is iconic enough that it's worth doing due diligence before it comes down.
And that's what council decided, right?
No, council just decided to get more information at this
Well,
point.
that's what I meant. To
Yeah,
do
yeah,
the
yeah.
Due diligence.
Well, they haven't agreed to do a structural assessment or any kind of engineering work. So
Okay.
Public Works is going to come back with some quotes for proposals, which I reached out to our favorite structural engineer, Mr. Elliott, and he was ballparking it at 5,000 to 10,000 for a basic. You know, is there any red flags that means this needs to come down? And he said if it passes that initial assessment, then he'd give it a $10,000 to $20,000 assessment for a proper top to bottom review. But for $5,000 to $30,000 investment is well under the $60,000 we budgeted previously, and a fairly modest cost when we look at, you know, just for something of that scale. And when we compare it to the $375,000 to take it down, you know, it's well under that budget. So,
John?
So I think all of the steps that are currently outlined, I think that's the right thing to do so that we make the right decision moving forward. What interests me too, though, is so the statement of cultural heritage and value that I guess was written about the entire district. And like, I guess perhaps the water tower was specifically mentioned in there, but also just like generally structures, and then water towers are used as an example of structures and sort of like the brass tacks of those, kind of like the Heritage Conservation District plan. So I'm just, when we look at the water tower, and if we were to look at like the Confederation Bridge the same way, like we'd look at what its cultural, what its value is to the area. And so we've talked about that a little bit in past meetings here. What strikes me is that I do know, like, it's just a piece of infrastructure. It is very iconic and you can see it, but I do wonder about what value it brings to the heritage of that area. If we can continue the heritage with the new bridge, with the way that the new bridge looks, I think, the old water tower doesn't really go against that new bridge really nicely. The water treatment plant just burned down. It's probably gone too. So like all these different pieces are sort of falling apart from there. So what I wouldn't want is to arbitrarily keep something because it's old. I'd want to make sure that we're keeping it for good value reasons, but see through the process. So I do wonder about that with the water tower itself, but I do think we need to, the cost analysis is, I don't know, it's probably going to be the biggest determination.
Yes?
I have a hard time deciding because that sucker's staring at me continually.
You don't have to decide today.
I know. He's looking at me continually. I have a problem with keeping it and not knowing what the total maintenance cost per year is going to be. Yes, sir.
I think that we don't need to get ahead of ourselves tonight.
No.
The only thing that I think we need to worry about tonight is whether or not council has a structural review of it and sees what's there.
Maintenance cost, the whole works.
Based on just the rough ballpark estimates, it sounds like it's a reasonable cost. So I would say as a committee, our best plan of action tonight would be to recommend that they go ahead with that structural analysis.
Yep.
And then there'll be more information, and then we'll have another conversation in a month or 2 or 3 or whatever. But right now, I think that's all we can do. There's no information to make.
That's the only question. Then people would be pretty upset if we didn't do that.
Well, let's do that then. Put that in the minutes.
To be honest with you, though, we no problem tearing the Confederation Bridge apart.
Well, yes.
Well, I still have a problem with it.
Anyway, Jenny would like to make a comment.
Just quickly, this evening, I think it's absolutely worth the effort to make a recommendation to council to look further. Going forward, it's a great conversation. I am probably going to not let the cost affect my decision. I don't think that's within our mandate, but that's just me personally.
Right. The issue is more whether or not it's structurally sound, right? Not for us, not the cost of maintaining it.
That is somebody else, like that's council's decision, 100%. But
right.
Yeah, me as a council or as a committee member.
I guess one other quick one. We built our water tower pretty early compared to all the small towns around us. And then we didn't engage with much retrofitting in between. Like Perth has got the same one, but theirs is like 40 years newer. Is that the situation? Or is that a big
Grace?
So I might be wrong, but my understanding is that Perth is newer enough that it doesn't have the rivets. So the rivets are what killed our Confederation Bridge. And we did a lot of structural analysis on that. It wasn't like it was it has to come down. It was we can't use it anymore. But those rivets are kind of the toxic feature of that era of steel structural design. And I think that Perth lucked out because it's old enough that it's still got a lot of character, but it's new enough that it doesn't have that feature to it. Because I think they did a major overhaul of it in 2023 or 2024.
Yeah.
Just, sorry, I have one question. It's curious. Carl, you said the new water tower is up and running. Where do they run the water line?
Right.
Just curious.
So I believe, and if I had that information on hand in my GIS, I could probably answer that.
I think Chris has.
I'll defer to Councillor McGuire.
So part of that is the project that Premier Ford was in town for last week to announce the 13 million for, and the new there's going to be a new main that's built to it, but right now it's running on the existing system. So it's working to maintain pressure on the existing system, but then when the new trunk main is in place, It's going to increase the pressures for places that have a lower pressure right now, and it's also going to facilitate future expansion to Rideau Regional land.
Because I hear there's quite a controversy which route to take.
I don't think so. I think it's been, yeah, it's going to be along Rideau Street, Lawrence.
I heard there were several options, that's all.
I don't believe so, no.
No.
It's never come to council as a...
Pardon me for jumping in, but I think there was talk of alternative routes before the tower was built, and then they decided this is where it's going.
Good. No, just curious.
So we will put forward that resolution then that we support. Chris, what would be the wording?
I hate wording.
The MHC supports the.
I would say, sorry, I just want to see.
Council obtaining.
Yeah, the
Structural.
Municipal Heritage Committee recommends that council undertake a structural assessment on the retired water tower and report back with the results, I guess.
Because we want to see the same information that council's looking to see.
Yeah, like
So you're moving that. And
anybody could move that.
okay. Anyone can, but you made the statement. Does someone else want to make the motion, or is that okay?
I'm okay, yeah, but if somebody else wants
And
to.
a seconder?
I'll second it.
Jonathan had his hand up first. So all in favor of that motion? Okay, passed. Thank you.
Sorry, can I see a show of hands again? Thank you.
Okay, priority issue number 2 is the properties of interest list update. So you've got in your package an updated tracking form
Hi, Brock.
with the, let's just find it here, with the extra column added that you asked for last time, Jonathan, so that we know what progress is being made with the property owners themselves. So that's there in your package. So we move on then to the draft notices of intention to designate.
Just before we move off of this
Okay,
one,
all
actually,
right.
maybe I can just point out a couple of quick things.
Okay,
So there's actually, based on information on the properties themselves, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 potential designations. Last meeting, you had asked about number 39 on the list, which is 11 Market Street, I guess. That building is considered a designated body by the province. So under section 25(2) of the Heritage Act, it can't be, there's no point in designating it because it falls under those rules. And I also followed up on the Stone Arch Dam, which forms part of the parking lot under the water tower. And that is already designated under part of the Rideau Canal World Heritage Site designation because that forms part of the technology that created the canal. So it's already protected.
already good. Thank you for looking that up. Dawn, you asked how far in my notes at home, I think I have how far underground it originally was, but I don't have that.
So hard to picture.
It was quite tall. I think more than half of it, certainly more than half of it is buried. When the parking lot was built, there was fill put in. Yeah.
Great.
So yeah.
My contact at Parks Canada is trying to dig out the drawings that show the actual height and depth and how far it goes down and all that.
But okay, we don't have to worry about that one because it's already part of the UNESCO designation then. That's good.
Or number 39. So.
Or number 39, okay. So, then the draft notices, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Chris.
Sorry. Just for number 39, if we designated it, it wouldn't apply to its current ownership, but if the ownership changed, would that, if a designation was in place now, would that carry over to future ownership?
As I understand it, it can't be designated.
Okay, so it's not like we can put it through and it's just
No.
usurped by the provincial legislation.
No.
It's just not even.
And tribunal may not like it if you do, if it was contested, because we know that you can't designate it.
Okay.
We just have to keep our eye on whether or not it's sold, right? Yeah. Okay.
So I took a stab at creating from the checklist and from the work that the committee did for 2 properties, writing up the draft bylaw of what constitutes designation. So for the 2 properties, let me get their numbers. So number 15 and 16, you have those there. If you've had a chance to look through them, I'd welcome any comments you have. Otherwise, the next step would be to have these vetted by a professional, a heritage professional. So next meeting, I'll bring forward a few more, just for you to review and see if you have any comments. And then as you decide whether or not you want to proceed with the information you now have in front of you with designation, that's when I would go to a heritage professional. So I need direction from the committee on how you'd like to proceed, knowing now with our new column, what the owner's response has been on these properties, if you want to proceed with designation. Or recommendation for designation.
We have one on the list, number 23 on the list, where the owners actually would like to have their property designated.
That's a great meeting.
Yeah, you got to tour isn't it something inside?
Magnificent.
Isn't it? Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
very
Lovely.
special.
Yeah. Chris?
I think we need Jenny to go to all the future meetings.
Yes, that's very encouraging.
Yes.
Yeah.
They were very enthusiastic. Oh yeah.
And some are just no response, so yeah. Okay, does anyone want to comment on any of these, or we just go ahead with it if you want to, John?
Well, yeah, the comment would be like you can send those forward to council. I like my preference would be to move forward with the one that approves. So 89, I think that would be a great just win to just see through one good one that is probably just a big green light. The no interest in like the way that that folks have expressed their interest. While I do think it's important to the town and the Heritage Committee's mandate is exactly to do what we're up to here, is to designate these things, also to provide support, hopefully to the folks that have those houses. I don't think council in its present form is going to make any firm decisions, being close to the election and based on previous discussions there. So I think if we sent these up, I fear that they just get sent right back down and that they'd say no to them after, because they're going to wonder how the folks feel about it. I'm hesitant to recommend these to go forward to council because we know that it might not go through, and I don't know how negative that is for us, but maybe we don't mind that outcome and we should do it anyway and put it into their hands, and that's the decision council can make, and that's okay too.
Chris?
I think for the multi-unit and commercial properties listed, the precedent with the HCD, what we're asking for on this list is not a cohesive group the way the HCD was, but the obligations and the requirements and the inconveniences, if you want to call it that, are in this. It's the exact same as what is put onto the HCD properties. So I think as a matter of fairness, I'm hoping that the council will understand that when we had the debates about the boundary and we accepted the reduced boundary, one of the recommendations Stantec made out of that was that it's not just the boundary properties we're recommending, it's also individually taking care of the properties outside of that boundary. I agree 100% on a single family home, but for investment properties, for commercial properties, And they're the ones at highest risk. Those are the ones that seem to have the fires. Those are the ones that have the renovations that destroy the heritage attributes more often than not. So I think for us, for our objectives, it's the best priority. And I think as a fairness, we're not asking anything out of these addresses that haven't been asked out of the contributing properties in the Heritage Conservation District.
It's a very good point.
I'm into that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay. So we're going to go ahead with these two then. Do we need to do anything formal, or do we just carry on? Carl?
I would like to see if possible a resolution from the committee making that recommendation to council.
At this point, or before? Yes, I guess at this point. Right?
So at this point, the next touch point will be council deciding whether or not to formally issue the notice of intent to designate. Right. So the Heritage Committee's advice to council can be encapsulated in a motion regarding those two properties.
Okay. All right.
I think that motion, if we could capture some of what you just said in there about in keeping with the Heritage Conservation District, like a lot of those points and multi-residential part, we're not targeting, like I think all those bits and parts are relevant.
That's a whereas part of the resolution.
I think so, hopefully.
Chris?
yeah, and I'm wondering, would it be better to bring it to council as a package of all of them?
Yes.
So same as the HCD, they all get approved at once, but then from an administration point, there might have to be to push all those through the pipe at once is going to be probably more than we have the capacity for. But at least to have it pushed through as one approval, then it has the same. It's like the HCD where it's coming for. You know what I mean? Everybody's being treated the same. Everybody's having the same standard and the same explanation, and it's not having the debate every 2 weeks. With a different report.
Okay. So do we wait then until we have a few more of the draft? Well, it's a draft bylaw, really, isn't it? Do we wait until we have a few more of those before we make a resolution to council? Because if we're going to do them as a group, we aren't really ready for that yet, are we?
Well, I think that's up to the committee to decide. But based on the fact that they made it onto the properties of interest list, I think it probably warrants, from what I've seen on the criteria, anything that's here listed as to designate would warrant that information, knowing that it will be vetted before it gets to council.
Yes.
So you could go ahead and make that resolution. Based on where under the yes or no column, we'll go with the yes to prepare that for council. And then if that changes, I'd let you know in advance. However, I don't anticipate that list changing before it goes to council.
Chris?
I would say to get the list through council at first would be good too, because then if it's a no, which I hope it isn't, but if it is a no, then there's no point of us putting all this time and energy and pushing it forward for this term anyway. So at least, you know what I mean? If we get that buy-in on the overall list, then we can keep working all summer at getting everything else done and doing it one by one. But if we don't have the buy-in on the list, then.
So, all right then. So which properties, by the number that we've got on the left-hand side, are we going to include in this list then? We're going to have number 15.
Yes.
And 16. And 23. And which others? Are we having?
So you might as well lump in number
20.
18, or number 19.
Yeah.
Oh, right, number 19, of course. And number 21, right?
Number 35.
Yeah.
That's a single family.
It says a duplex. Well,
Oh, it says duplex.
Says
Yeah,
duplex.
sorry.
Number 24 as well, Chair.
24, yeah. And 45.
Armor's, yeah.
So 15, 16, 19, 21, 23, 24, and 45. Others?
The new Parks Canada owns. Stone Arch
That's
Bridge.
already done.
Yeah,
Already
that's,
done.
yeah.
All right.
Sorry.
Already protected. Okay, sorry.
So, just for clarification for me, so it's 15, 16, 19, 21, 23, 24, 34, 35, and 45.
Yeah.
9 total.
Carl?
Marie, you mentioned there's a couple of single-family homes have had positive, 35 and 36 have had positive discussions. Does that suggest that they may be open to considering designation, but haven't told us of that fact?
Exactly. We've
Okay,
had
so-
great discussions, but we've had nothing formal come back from them, and they've not, not indicated that an enthusiastic yes at this point. But
Okay.
discussions have been good.
You're open to it, but did not give us the emphatic, enthusiastic response that
Right.
the other one did. Is that something that we should be trying to obtain in consideration for bringing those forward?
I have been. No response yet.
Okay.
Did the committee wish to have a closer look at those ones?
I don't know if we need to do the list, like proceed with this list at this meeting. Can we have a Chris?
I think for the purpose of this motion is to get the buy-in on council and the commercial and
Yes.
investment properties.
Right.
So I'd say yes, like let's not take the foot off the gas for the positive response ones.
Okay.
But for the objective of what we're trying to get out of this motion, it's really the other ones, because we're not going to bring the single family homes if they don't have the buy-in
Right.
anyway. So,
Right. Right.
but I hopefully we can turn around those ones that are leaning yes, and
Okay.
I think the CIP program's a big boost.
Yes. Yes.
For those.
All right. So we will do that today then at this meeting.
Okay, so we need a resolution.
We do.
Do you have a formal resolution wrote down?
No,
No.
I'm trying to dream one up here.
Sometimes a bit tricky doing it on the spot sometimes.
Well, I can just leave it with Marie and she'll wordsmith it later.
Well, I think we should have the real motion to vote on.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
It's kind of hard to.
Thank you, though.
What's it sound like right now?
Go ahead, Chris.
And, we could. These are all from the properties of interest list, right?
Yes. So it can begin that way, can't it?
But the Municipal Heritage Committee recommends that council move forward with the intention to designate or for all commercial and multi-unit residential investment properties from the properties of interest list.
Right.
That's second.
That sounds good.
And just leave it at that, or did you want to add in anything about the HCD? Or just leave
well, I
that
think
to a
this
staff
all-
report?
Yeah, like we could add some whereases with, like whereas the HCD, whereas the changes in the provincial regulations.
Right. Right.
If we want to give context to it, but I guess is it going to come just as this motion, or there'll probably be a staff report? I'm guessing. With
Yes.
Background. So
So we could just leave it at that, at properties of interest list. And then, if you want.
yes, whatever gives you guys the tool to come to council with a strong package.
Okay.
Sounds
And
good.
so
Yeah.
class seconded. And are you making the motion, Chris? We'll always.
Sure, anybody can. I just.
Anyone can make the motion. That's right. Does someone else want to make that motion? So it's not always Chris.
I'll make the motion.
Oh, right. Thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
Brock makes the motion and
So-
class seconds it.
Rock, Cosby, so-
Carl?
So just to confirm the committee's direction, so single-family homes that do not have the consent of the owner, we will not proceed. The one that does have the approval of the owner, we will proceed. But if it's a duplex and if it's listed as yes to designation, so that would be number 35 on the list, but not number 36. That's the committee's desire. We're considering investment properties to be and multi-residential to be duplexes, but not singles
At this point, yeah.
at this
I
time.
suppose so,
Yes.
yes.
Unless the owner, the owner is in favor.
Yeah, and then we can deal with the other ones later as a package.
And number 36 on the list, it says see above, so there has been a positive discussion, but there hasn't been any,
Nothing formal, so
yeah.
I'm still in pursuit.
Okay, very good.
So we'll
Very good.
proceed with 35, but not with 36
Right.
at this time.
Right,
Right.
right. And, you know, if any of these others which say no response, well, there aren't that many like that, but there are a few. It is possible that in the future we might be able to pursue those. Okay, so
So we need to vote.
yes, we do. Do we need to read the motion?
So the motion currently reads that the Municipal Heritage Committee recommend that council move forward with the notice of intention to designate letters on all commercial and multi-residential properties from the properties of interest list.
Okay. All right, so all in favor of the motion? Everybody. Thank you.
Thanks.
The Stone Arch Dam, we've already talked about, unless there's more to the discussion. I don't think so. And property number 39, we've talked about that as well. So the next thing is the heritage alteration permit for the Abel Russell Wharf House.
So I did do up a quick report. The owner is now proposing to add railings to the side and rear porch. We don't have any good photos of what originals might have looked like. You see in the report what he's hoping to do, some of the existing conditions. They had a brief meeting, and Dorothy, if you wanted to speak to that,
Right.
meeting with the owner.
We did discuss previously the heritage alteration permit for the columns, right? We already went over that. But then he decided he was going to replace the railings. And so he brought that forward. He chose a design that most closely resembled what you can see, not very clearly, in the original photograph. And that's in your package as well. He's going to do the side porch and the back porch. He's going to do the deck and the porch as well, I do believe, the floor, but that
That was
doesn't.
approved in the
Yeah.
in the first
Yeah.
one.
So this was just, the purpose was just to approve the spindles of the railings that he wants to use to renovate that. He's got an awful lot of work to do on that house. And he has to do it little bit by bit. But it was part of his CIP application. So we at CIP, we were certainly interested in supporting the preservation of the heritage of that property.
So he's going with the Victorian style one?
Yes, yeah, that was what he picked. The close-up photograph is right underneath that, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, which was the only picture that he could find. He hasn't found very many pictures of his house at all over at Heritage House. And he said the ones he did find, it was more, a picture was taken there, but it wasn't meant to be a picture of the house. The house was just in the background.
Huh.
So,
This happened to
yeah,
me.
so he's had a tough time finding and documenting what the building looked like when it was actually built.
So I think, like, and for anyone that might be watching at home or down the road when we start hopefully getting into a lot of these applications, when we have lots of designated properties and there's plenty of work going on and people are finding money and are being supported, they feel comfy. This is a lot of work. It's like, this is extra. It's definitely overkill. This is more information than we got on the Heritage House for their porch. They're like for like, and like he's more or less trying to do that, but he's like backing it up. So I just want to highlight that this person has done a lot of work, that they've gone above and beyond. And the spirit of all of this is that someone looks thoughtfully at a heritage asset, and then they replace it thoughtfully as well. And we're simply trying to avoid the aluminum going over top of everything. So I think this looks great, and I support what's going on here. I think we should give this person our support and to keep going.
Yeah, and that's, thank you for the comment. That's, yeah, good. So are we voting on this as well? Oh, sorry.
I think it's good to note too, though, that there is a CIP application associated with this work. So
Yes.
The town is putting, the town has skin in the game in this project, and I don't know that the level of detail would have needed to be provided if that extra level of scrutiny wasn't there for the CIP analysis. So, so I just don't want to give the wrong impression. If you know what I mean, somebody's thinking like, oh, this is a lot of work. It's like, well, it's a lot of work, but there's also a financial payout for it. So
Right, because he was applying for funding. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Are we voting on this as well?
You need to formalize whether or not you're going to make a recommendation to council that they approve or not.
Okay.
I would move option 1 that's listed on the report.
Yes, okay. Option 1 is that we could pass a motion to recommend that council approve the spindles and railings as outlined in the application. That is the motion. Are you moving it, Jonathan?
Yes,
And seconder then? Dawn seconds. All in favor? Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, project updates. The street naming bylaw, and that's at the back of your package.
So at the last meeting, you had requested information on recent female names that have been used for naming new streets, and 2 have been used. So Dr. Agnes Crane Drive and Margaret Graham Terrace. Those are the 2 most recent streets that have been named, and those were the names chosen off the list.
So like, can you give me any context? Like, is that over a 10-year period or a 20-year period or a 5-year period? Generally, I have no
last
context.
5, Carl? Last 5. How many streets have been named over at Bellamy Farm now? There was 1, 2, 3.
There's one street in the Maple Ridge subdivision, and I believe 4 streets in the last 5 years in Bellamy Farm. So Staples and Ferrera were already in place. But there were 2 new streets in each phase in phases 2 and 3.
Thank you.
These are being added to a list that already exists. Is that correct? Or is this the list?
This is the list.
Oh, okay.
Are we adding any more to it?
Not at this point. Direction was, sorry, go ahead.
no, sir.
Direction was given a while ago to staff to update the street naming policy because there were a lot of names on the list. So the direction was given to narrow it down to 12 or 15. So before I take that list to council, they'll want to know what MHC thinks of these names. That's how we got here.
Okay. Chris?
So at the last meeting, we talked about trying to add more women to the list. And a member of the community reached out to me and suggested Providence get added for the Sisters of Providence because they ran the hospital and schools in the community started up a lot of that stuff, but I guess the nature of the organization is that nobody takes credit. So the community name was suggested over a specific person, but I think that, you know, the hospital in town is the hospital that they ran, and a lot of the schools, not the same buildings are there, but still there.
So it's to that end that I recommend that just evening out the list before it goes back to council. That's just my opinion, sitting on this committee, is that it's possible for us to even out the list so that you can. It doesn't have to be a woman that's chosen next. It could be a fellow. It could be someone that doesn't identify. But it'd be nice that the list has got a representation like that for councillors. That's my personal opinion.
Okay. So we're going to find a few more names then, basically, yeah? Yeah.
Maybe not.
It's been over a year we've been doing this.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, I've been really trying. We've got the odds of getting 12 streets built in the next decade is ambitious for Smith Falls at the current growth levels. So I would say, if we can get this through, this is something that I think both community council, the committee, everybody would like to get more names on. But at the same time, we got to close it. And if we could get the Indigenous, I think the Indigenous input, we had reached out to Algonquins of Ontario. And I'm wondering if maybe we could reach out to whoever's involved with the powwow and see if we can get some names from our stakeholders that help us organize that, because the AOO seems to be too big and a lot of different priorities, and it's been months and months and we haven't heard back. So if we could get maybe more local feedback on those names, and then we could get this to council and get it approved this term, because I just worry if we wait much longer, it's gonna be a different term of the committee, a different term of council, and we'll be back to square one. Right. So we've got a heavy focus on veterans right now, and that is an important contributor to the community, and it's just the nature of that is that they skew. There's more male veterans than female veterans.
So your recommendation that we add Providence, I think that's a good idea. Yeah.
Just want to clarify. So, okay, so we'll go to a total of 13, Providence being one of them.
Right.
One added. Okay.
And then, as Chris mentioned, the powwow is coming up pretty soon, so we'll try to do that too.
Okay, so I'll try and contact the organizers and the stakeholders in the powwow to see if they have anything they want to contribute through our 2 placeholder spots. And then, do you want to see those before it goes to council, or? So once I get those, then I can proceed to council or give it my best shot at getting some suggestions.
Right, and if you do get any input from them, then it'll be in time to do this before, as you say, before there's a different council and a different committee.
And then if not, we'll just leave the placeholders in there.
Okay. All right. Okay, that's good. Thank you.
Do I need a motion or? Can't hurt.
I guess we could if we're not needing to know the names that are reserved. So, someone like to make a motion? Somebody, class is going to. What's your motion, Class?
Motion. Well, to put those names forward
Recommends
on the
that
street naming list.
they proposed street names to council.
With the addition of Providence.
With the addition of Providence, actually.
Right.
Evidence
And a seconder for that motion then?
Yep.
Somebody want to second that? Brock seconds it. Okay, all in favor of the motion then?
I'm going to stand opposed.
You're opposed?
Yeah, that's all right.
Because, okay, well,
That's my prerogative.
all right, so let's, all in favor? Yes, it is your prerogative, and opposed? Of course, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Roundtable next. Carl, you had something you wanted to announce? We'll start at this end of the table.
Sure. Nice little piece of I have some good news to bring forward. So yesterday evening, council approved a staff recommendation to enter into a standing offer arrangements with Heritage Advisory Services. So council's approved 3 consulting firms who are going to be assisting staff, council, and the committee with technical and operational support. So the 3 consulting firms are the NPG Planning Solutions. That's led by Dr. Marcus Letourneau. He's instructed the Heritage Planning for Practitioners course at Algonquin. I've taken that a few years ago, and Marie's looking at taking that. They've provided services for Port Hope and a number of other municipalities, about 25, 30 years of Heritage Planning Services. Stantec, who's developed our Heritage Conservation District, they certainly are quite familiar with our downtown and sort of that context, as well as WMTA, whose chief planner is Sally Coots, and they've done work in Ottawa, and Sally's been the heritage consultant for Mississippi Mills for a number of years. So I think in what we'd be looking for and this is sort of a capacity building exercise. So I think it's normal in the municipal world that there are that there's engineering services, environmental services, some other services that we all rely on and require to help guide staff and guide council, though we just don't have that technical expertise in-house. And I think bringing on heritage consultants to review bylaws, those will help us ensure that the bylaw is legally defensible. So if it's once approved by council, it would stand the test of time. They'd help us develop operational procedures. Obviously, we have a new heritage conservation district, and I think there's been a number of sort of bigger ticket heritage items that have passed through this committee and gone up to council over the last number of years. So I think this will really help us institutionalize heritage as a unique and distinct service area within our department. So with three companies offering preparing or doing the standing offer, that gives us the opportunity to pick which one would be the best fit for each individual project. You certainly want more than one consultant because there are conflicts of interest. There's different expertise and skill sets depending on the task. So I think what we'd be looking at is both somebody who we can call upon for a quick consult, so just a call we make from the office, as well as somebody who's going to help us with individual projects. So the old water treatment plant, as an example, there's that property on the building unfortunately was demolished. The heritage designation applies, and when council adopted the resolution, I guess consenting to the demolition last year, the committee was very adamant to ensure that we incorporate heritage into any future development. So this person is going to help us get there and provide strategic advice. Do we look at a site specific development easement with the municipality? What do we do with the designation, and how do we best leverage heritage and ensuring a good development there? So those are the sorts of conversations that we'd be looking for strategic advice on, and ultimately help us bring high quality advice to at a council. We had 13 submissions, and Maria and I spent quite a bit of time going through those 13 submissions. A lot of really good ones, folks who've worked with the town in the past. Several of those have submitted bids, so we're really pleased with the level of interest. And it was tough to choose 3, but I think the three that council approved last night will give us a good variety of fairly local and very qualified advice.
Thank you. That's great news.
Yeah.
Jonathan,
No, nothing for the roundtable.
class?
No.
Jenny?
Thanks for me.
Dawn? Chris?
So when we were talking about the HCD, we talked about sign related things and lighting related things, and they suggested we have those as separate bylaws that either need updating or creating. And I'm just wondering, do we expect to have those updated for this term of council, or how? I'm getting to that, the end is near, kind of. And it'd be good to have all those loose ends tied up. So
Downtown core design? No, or the sign bylaw?
yeah, I guess that'd be another.
Both
The
of
core
those,
design
right?
guidelines, the sign bylaw.
Because one of them was still in draft, I believe. Is that correct, Marie?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
Carl?
Marie's been working with the sign bylaws pretty much since she started with the town a couple of years ago, and she's identified a number of operational challenges we've had, and also opportunities to sort of enhance that process. So that is on our department's work plan for this year, to bring forward some housekeeping amendments to the bylaw. It was an aggressive rewrite a few years ago, and we've worked with it a few years. So it's like any bylaw, it gives us the opportunity to see what we like, what can be tweaked, are there unintended consequences. So our plan is to bring that forward to council later on this year, hopefully before the end of this term.
Okay. Rob?
Awesome.
I'd like to apologize because I arrived late and I missed the discussion on the water tower. I like my water tower. I know it's going to cost money to keep it there, but that thing was built with rivets and it's old and it resembles a bridge construction if you look closely at it. And I hope there was some positive discussion surrounding that in maintaining it and keeping it for a while.
Were you here by the time that we made the motion?
No.
No, would you mind? Really?
That the MHC recommends that council obtain a structural assessment on the retired water tower.
Basically to determine whether or not it's salvageable, I guess would be the word.
Right.
And Chris was talking about, was it the rivets you mentioned?
Yeah, the rivets are what killed our Confederation Bridge. But for between $5,000 and $30,000, we can get a structural assessment that'll take a look at it and see if there's any deal breakers of, this part's corroded and it's important and it's structural. I'm not expecting that because there was water in it. If there was something critically wrong with it, it would have been emptied and we would have been running on the pumps until the new one was commissioned. But we'll see if hopefully they approve that, and then we'll have more information. And then we can have another discussion at a future meeting about. I agree with everything you've.
It's just one of those things. Like if we don't want to keep our old stuff, then it's going to be pretty hard to convince somebody else, to get their ships in the right direction. So that was all.
Okay. All right. If there's nothing else, then the next meeting is on Tuesday, June the 9th. And could we have a motion to adjourn? Any moves to adjourn and a seconder? Dawn, all in favor? Thank you. Meeting adjourned.
Thanks.